Hello and welcome to tonight's edition of the Evening Review. My name is Taiwan Jabela, your host, and tonight I am co-hosting with my colleague Ashley Smith, our news editor here at Namibian Sun. Welcome to the show.
Good evening, and thank you for having me.
Sure. Let's look at the front page of today's Namibian Sun.
Win mega prizes with Pasta Polana. Oh yes, we're giving away a huge grand prize of 150,000 Namibian dollars worth of building materials from Pupkewitz Mega Build. Plus weekly prizes of 12,000 Namibian dollars in cash for 8 weeks. To get your hands on these mega prizes, simply buy 3 kg Pasta Polana macaroni or elbows at any ShopRite, USafe or Checkers. Then SMS Pasta Polana to 24442. There's no pasta more mega than Polana. Competition ends 7 June 2020. T's and C's apply. Pasta Polana. Every day, a different way. A proud product of Namib Mills.
Now, actually, our lead story today is about retrenchments. Big talks going on right now about government saying employers may not get rid of employees due to COVID-19 until at least, I think they say
28 days after the lockdown ends on supposedly.
Yes.
Well, holding fingers or hands or whatever that the lockdown will end, but it doesn't look good at this stage.
It has caused a lot of problems because there's a lot of debates right now to say, okay, of course saving jobs should be the priority for every corporate, but there are genuine situations where a certain corporate can simply not sustain that. Either you have to pay those employees and close shop, or you have to retrench some people in order to sustain the business.
Yeah. Look, as we when we were going through the story yesterday evening, one of the things that stood out for I think both of us was the issue of pay cuts, which is also an option I think for businesses going forward. So I think before we get to the retrenchment stage, there's also the issue of pay cuts that can be negotiated with unions and with employees.
Yes.
And I think the story says that it can't be more than 50%. Of what you're earning. So obviously the economy, the Namibian economy has been in the doldrums for a while. This COVID-19 or coronavirus outbreak, pandemic worldwide has just kind of taken us into the toilet so much sooner than was expected.
Indeed.
So before we get to retrenchments, we obviously have to look at those kind of measures from businesses. But as you were saying, a lot of businesses in Namibia don't have that cash flow or emergency funding or whatever it is that's required even to pay cuts at this stage. Yeah. So it's going to be very interesting going forward.
Yeah, because some businesses actually just live hand to mouth, if you like.
That's correct.
What you make in the duration of that month is where you then get also salaries for employees.
Yes.
So if your business didn't operate for a period of weeks like it has been for many of them at the moment, then there is simply no income that came in for you to. It would literally mean that you had to go to the bank, perhaps, to borrow money to pay salaries, and that is not sustainable. Nobody should be forced to go to the bank to pay salaries.
Yeah, obviously now with the Social Security Commission as well, with the 700 million package, we want to see obviously how that's going to be rolled out in an effort to save jobs. There's also the finance minister, the majority of that stimulus package was supposed to also go towards tourism industry stakeholders and other stakeholders who are not operating at the moment. But in the same breath, as you know, Toivo, our SOEs are probably going to get some big bailouts. Places like NWR that's not operating, in Namibia that's not operating, and some others as well. So there's not a lot of money to go around, to kind of keep either the SOEs or private businesses operating, or to soften the blow for them. And it's all got to do, and like you always say, it all comes back to scientifically being able to end this lockdown. When will Namibia be in a position scientifically to evaluate when the peak of this virus is going to be, and then when we can start slowly opening up our formal economy again, as was announced in South Africa just a few days ago, that they will be looking at a kind of scientific approach, which must, as you've said, include mass testing.
Indeed. I mean, for me, I'm very unapologetic about mass testing. I think it's the only way we can then say, okay, the 4th of May is approaching. What have we done to satisfy ourselves?
Yes.
That indeed the virus has been contained in some way, and therefore it is safe to now let people go about their daily business and mingle again if we have to mingle, or even if we have to say, okay, the lockdown is over now, but still maintain social distancing and all these things, but you still have to base that directive on something.
Yeah.
It's not guessing. Just quickly, Ashley, also on the you spoke about Namibia. Just yesterday there was a letter circulating from Namibia CEO to the staff, saying that their salaries will be delayed because there's simply no money in the kitty. And I think our colleague Khone was doing a story earlier this week in which we heard that Namibia is losing about 100?
It's 100 million a month that they expected to lose. Obviously, that's not sustainable in any shape or form. We also spoke off the record to someone from the Pilots Association who's saying, look, they've already, even before the lockdown began, they've been earning below the standard rate of what pilots normally earn across the world. So that can't be easy as well.
South African Airways have already offered retrenchments to everyone in the company, to packages, basically severance packages, to say we are in a predicament here as South African Airways, and we are giving all our entire force, the entire workforce, to take these packages. Of course, nobody in a critical time like this will show up and say, oh, I'm ready to go, unless you had already something going on, like a job that you are about to start.
Yes.
But I mean, how many of those will you get? So if a huge continental airline like South African Airways can barely make ends meet, of course they're having a lot of problems that have gone on for a long time. But Namibia is in a worse situation.
Yeah. No, obviously the coronavirus is hastening a lot of these SOEs, both in South Africa and here, are just not sustainable in their current form. And I think government has said that over and over again. And this virus or this pandemic has just kind of hastened the decision making around some of these entities. But I mean, hard decisions have to be made, but also keeping in mind the impact on families. Yeah.
Before we go on a break, Ashley, let me pick your brain on something that you and I were also discussing earlier today, and it is about the escalating public debt, also now worsened by the situation of corona. In January, okay, first and foremost, our original national threshold for public debt to GDP ratio is 35%. For some years now, we have already surpassed that. The threshold set by the World Bank for developing countries like ours is about 43%, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct, yes.
So we have also surpassed that. In January, Finance Minister Kailash Leitvan, when he was a finance minister, of course, when he was addressing his staff, he said that public debt now stood at 53% of the country's GDP. And those are crazy numbers.
Scary.
But that was already before corona and everything else came. Now, it's even worse now.
Yeah.
I mean, that 8.3 billion stimulus package, for example, I personally don't believe that the whole of it, government had it tucked somewhere in the reserves, like they are saying. There might have been some amount, but I'm sure there are still some money. I mean, the minister just signed the other day 2 billion something with the African Union.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
So it keeps going, and this is pushing us in a very precarious situation.
I think it's a quite a terrible situation. I was telling you this morning, as you were saying, some of my colleagues in South Africa were saying this 500 billion package that the South African president announced. Yeah. 130 billion of that is coming from Treasury, from their Treasury. But the rest is being loaned from the IMF, the World Bank, the African Development Bank, and of course the BRICS Bank. Yes. So obviously those loan facilities are available. I'm not sure how that's going to impact on us perhaps getting a loan if your loan threshold is moving towards 60% of your GDP. Where are we going to actually be able to tap into those resources going forward? And obviously, the longer this state of emergency and lockdown goes on, the more financial assistance Namibia will need. And what will the picture look like after, this COVID pandemic has subsided? And what impact will it have on ordinary Namibians when your debt threshold is moving way past 60%?
Indeed.
Yeah.
Actually, let's go for a break now. Not a break, rather, but it's our colleague Limba Mupetami attended an event today where two boxing academies, the Nestato Bears Academy and Salute Boxing, actually donated food parcels to boxers. That is how serious the situation is, that even athletes are now needing food assistance. But let's look and then we'll discuss afterwards.
Thank you very much. For me, this is a very joyous occasion. It says sport cares, boxing cares. It's not that always when there's a boxing tournament, we say, come and support us. This is now the time boxing is supporting Thomas Nation. Everything has been said. I'm very grateful and very happy for the two statements. Nesta, Kamanya, this is very great. Always we say other people, but this time today in sport, we are the ones who are saying K and boxing K. And how do we pay? By giving something back to the community, giving something back to our boxers, giving something where it's not only food, also giving something where we can make sure that we are trying to knock out this invisible enemy out of Namibia. In boxing we talk about knockouts. So we have to knock it out. We can knock it down. That we can do. But that we can do only if we can do what the two stables are doing today, like what Nesta is doing, what Kamanya is doing, and that is how we can knock it out. So the two stables are giving parcels of food. The two stables are giving hand sanitizers and masks, and we are saying, with this we are saying, stay home, don't walk around, stay home, because we are giving you something to eat while you are at home. Let's observe the social distance, let's wash our hands, and because this is a sporting event, let's keep fit during this time, which is so difficult. Even if you have to train alone, that's your body. this corona, we will beat this thing. But the fact is, if you don't keep on training, after beating, what will you do? You will have to start afresh. Ooh, it's very difficult. Very tough. Very tough. Let's just keep on training. Boxers, let's keep on training.
Yeah. Let's keep on
Where are
training.
the coaches? Let's keep on training.
Now, actually, boxers, athletes, people who are supposed to be, it's no longer a boxer saying, look, I need a sponsor.
Yeah.
I have a fight in South Africa or in Morocco and I have no ticket to go or whatever. It's food for the stomach.
Yes.
That's very precarious.
I don't think we anywhere near going through the toughest times of this pandemic. It's actually quite scary for me. It's quite scary for so many families. Yeah. None of us will be immune from this. We're already coming out of a situation, too, as you know, drought situation in the country. We had to have food aid delivered. There was even problems with that. And that has just been multiplied by what's currently happening with this pandemic.
What is scary also, I mean, this is we have seen a situation in the past couple of days in Katutura, for example, scrambles for food. Because now there's this food aid that is being distributed, and we have seen people even threatening each other with violence to say food is not being distributed fairly. I mean, again, a very, very scary situation. I mean, food. I mean, it's not money to take your child to school. It's not it's not struggling with money to have your child go to school in the morning. Yeah. Food for the stomach to feed your family. So that is very, very scary, because also sports and perhaps, I mean, a lot of things that are being said at the moment is that COVID is teaching us a lot of lessons that as a country we must do a serious post-mortem once this whole thing is over, and really see how we can ready ourselves for the future. Sports, for example, is not taken too serious in this country.
Yes.
Boxers, Floyd Mayweather, Mike Tyson, these are multimillionaire people.
There's astronomical figures in their bank accounts.
If you hear of what is in the bank of Floyd, and on the opposite end, there's a boxer who's struggling to feed himself. Yeah, it's just two opposite ends, two sharp opposite ends.
And remember, these are sportsmen who always keep our national flag flying high. They really motivate our young kids out there. Like you say, sports in this country, although in other nations it's seen as a way of getting yourself out of poverty, of even fighting your way out of the ghetto and out of the slums. In Namibia, it doesn't seem to be that kind of approach to sport, and that is not very disconcerting, very, very disconcerting.
The understanding of and we hope really that politicians actually start seeing sports as another way of job creation. It's not always about, let's pump millions into youth projects, let's do what. Sometimes also, because the country has talent.
Yes.
Football, I mean, our football league, for example, Namibia Premier League, nobody has kicked a ball for nearly 2 years now. Because people in the higher positions, of course, not only in government, but also in bodies that administrate football, nobody cares. And we've been talking about this for so long. Now people are there. The memes who sell kapana or beer at the stadiums are also affected. So it's a far-reaching thing when you do not invest in sport. The implications are not just it's not just that you don't see people actually pass a ball on the field. There are ripple effects all over.
But sport is also something, and this is why I'm also passionate about it. It's something that actually instills massive discipline in young people. You get a society. If you have a society of sports people, and if you look at Namibia as such a small country, for this country to have produced the kind of sports people that they have over the years, the soccer players, the boxers, the athletes. I mean, Namibia's got a pool of talent here second to none in the world. And with sport, as I said, you also instill that kind of discipline and that kind of lifestyle that you actually want from your people.
Yeah,
yes.
Indeed. I think we should end it here, Ashley. Thank you very much for coming to the show today.
It It was a pleasure.
Yeah, so for our viewers, this is what we had for you today. Tomorrow we will bounce back stronger, but I hope you still enjoyed this conversation. Good night.
Win mega prizes with Pasta Polana. Oh yes, we're giving away a huge grand prize of 150,000 Namibian dollars worth of building materials from Pupkewitz Mega Build. Plus weekly prizes of 12,000 Namibian dollars in cash for 8 weeks. To get your hands on these mega prizes, simply buy 3 kg Pasta Polana macaroni or elbows at any ShopRite, USafe or Checkers. Then SMS Pasta Polana to 24442. There's no pasta more mega than Polana. Competition ends 7 June 2020. T's and C's apply. Pasta Polana. Every day, a different way. A proud product of Namib Meals.